So before I say anything else on this video, I just want to make it very clear that this is the first time I ever painted a car. I have never painted a car before, so if you're looking for some kind of professional tips on how to paint a car, this is probably not the video for you. But if you are new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed the video. That being said, you're probably wondering why the engine and transmission is still in the car and I'm painting the bay. Well, that's very simple. I just don't have the space or the time to pull everything out. In a very limited space here, and I don't have I'm already running out of space, so pulling the whole swap out is just going to be a huge mess. So, and then I don't have the time to do it all in one sitting, and you have to do this in multiple steps throughout various days. So I just want to make that very clear. That being said, as you guys can see, I have stripped as much as I can out of the bay and prepped it as much as I can without spending way too much time on it that I don't have, and this is as best as I'm going to be able to get it. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect. This is going to be a DIY kind of job, and it's going to work for me. So now all I got to do is finish masking. As you guys can see, I've already masked the tires as much as I could from the engine where I don't want any overspray to get on, and then right now I'm going to be masking the windshield. So let's get to it. Cool, so now that we got this pretty much all ready for spray, I'm going to be primering it first because as you can see it's in really bad shape and there's a lot of bare metal like right there, just exposed, so it definitely needs a light coat of primer. For that I'm going to be using this primer. It's a high build primer. I got this from the local paint store and it's supposed to be kind of a lot better than like some regular Walmart ones and stuff like that. So as you guys can see, it sprays on really nice. It's definitely a filler primer, so I'm gonna have to sand this down with a wet 400, but let's go ahead and shoot it. So this is it. This is what it looks like after I sprayed it with a filler primer out of a spray can. It sprays on fairly rough, so I'm definitely gonna have to wet sand this with like a 400 grit before I spray, but I'm just gonna give it like a cool 15 to 20 minutes to dry, and then I'll go ahead and wet sand, and then she'll be ready for paint. All right, so after another eternity, finally masked down the rest of the car and basically sanded it down. These I'm not going to primer because the wet coat, or not wet coat, the clear coat was in pretty good shape, so I just kind of give it a 500 grit or 400 grit and ready to go. Still need to somehow mask this guy, and everything else is ready to go. I'm gonna start hitting it with some grease and wax remover, and then she'll be ready for paint. All right, so for paint, I'm using something called KH2. It's a charcoal pearl by Nissan, and I'm using the ShopLine, somewhat professional. Well, it is professional. I paid, I believe it was I think it was 200, but I might need another quart. So overall, I paid $300 for this paint, and it's not too expensive. As you guys can see, hopefully you can see the color. I believe it's gonna be beautiful. So this is a base coat. So basically I'm going to be doing a 1:1 ratio. So let's go ahead and just pour some in. I believe I'm doing paint, so I gotta do 3 parts paint, 3 parts reducer. There we go. And then let me go ahead and add the reducer now. Go ahead and close her up. All right. first time doing this, so hopefully I'm not too moronic. Alright, so now I'm using a medium reducer. So hope it gives me good results. We'll find out. I think it's perfect because the weather is like not too hot, not too cold. It's about 78, 80 degrees. I was reading that the colder it is, the lower you want it, I believe. Something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of that stuff, honestly. So yeah, basically I'm gonna do reducer up to the 3. So as you guys can see, it's a 1-1. Now you won't be able to see it, so I can't really show you that. Just know that if you are doing base coat, which basically is a two-stage paint, which you first lay a color and then the clear goes on top, it's going to be a 1-1 ratio for the most part. But I would really recommend if you guys ask whoever you buy the paint off of to let you know what the formula is. Now all I got to do is just stir it up really well. Oh man, that's looking good. I'm gonna put on my mask, so if you hear my voice kind of be a little wonky, this is why.
All right, so let's go spray it. One coat. Sorry if you can't hear me, but it's still a lot of crap in here and I don't want to breathe it in. This is one. Actually, the base has had two light coats, so I might give it a third, a little bit wetter coat. It's definitely not perfect, but it's looking good. I'm guessing with the clear coat, it's going to look a lot better. So definitely starting to look a lot better. Definitely needs one more coat. There is some tiger striping on the top, so I'm going to give it one wet coat on top, And then I'm gonna start doing the trunk area. So yeah, check it out. See if you can see it in the sunlight.
I cannot wait to start driving this car again. I am super anxious. It's gonna look beautiful. Unfortunately, I started spraying the clear coat on top of it, and that happened. So I ended up shooting the clear without any reducer, and that's what the paint store told me. That's the recommended thing to do, supposedly, to shoot this guy here with 4 parts of this and 1 part of the hardener. Nothing with, nothing to do with reducer or anything. So I ended up shooting it. Thankfully I didn't do the whole car, and it ended up looking like this. It was just terrible orange peel, absolutely horrible. I should have stopped right away, but I thought maybe if I kept spraying and I tried adjusting the nozzle a little, and it came out a little better. So I ended up doing pretty much half of this side and all of this with the heavy orange peel non-reduced clear coat. Then I stopped and I'm like, I'm gonna reduce it. Thankfully I watched a lot of videos on YouTube. Shout outs to Boss Painter here on YouTube. Look him up, he's a really informative guy. And I ended up just saying, screw this, there's something wrong. I put 1 part reducer into my clear, some of that ShopLine stuff back over there somewhere, and it started coming out a lot better, flowing so much better. I turned up my pressure a little bit more and reduced the amount of material that was coming out of the gun, and it got a little better. Started out coming like that. This part was a little rough, but I don't know if you could tell the difference, but it's definitely a lot more clear. See that? Still some orange peel, but it's definitely a lot more normal. See if you can see there. See the reflection there? It feels super smooth. And unfortunately, some parts I shot a little bit extra after I had done the reduced one. And I didn't reduce again because I got stubborn, and I figured, oh, you know what? I think I can shoot it without the reducer. I wanted to save on costs. And yeah, so now I'm having to sand it all down. I did 320 just to cut it down fast, and followed by 600, and I'm basically gonna have to reshoot it. So for any of you that are watching this video, please do not shoot your clear without reducing it. After about a week and some change of battling it out with this car, it is starting to come together, and I am loving the way it looks. This is exactly what I had envisioned. It looks better than what I thought it would turn out to be. Honestly, when I set off in doing this, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And like I said, I've never painted a car before. This is my very first time ever painting a car. And when I set off on this journey, I had a vision. I pictured it in my mind like I normally picture things. That's usually how all my projects begin. I just picture things in my head, and then I envision myself with my end goal. And this is exactly what I had in mind. When I first started painting this car, I thought this is how it's gonna look, and guess what? It turned out exactly like the way I envisioned it. Even better, it's shinier than what I thought it was gonna be. It's looking amazing. I'm really glad that I went ahead and did this because I was not happy with the way it was, and it truly is a beauty now, and I'm really happy with it, and I love it. I'm so much more in love with this car now. A lot of great things to come. I've had to sand down the clear coat multiple times due to like severe orange peel. I had to sand it down back to 400 and then respray multiple times. It's been a battle, and would I do it again? Not unless I absolutely had to. The good thing is that I learned, so now I don't have to pay people thousands of dollars to paint my vehicles, which is the awesome part. And so if I'm ever like in a fender bender, or if I ever get a scratch on my car, I can just paint it myself and save myself tons of money and not have to worry about scratches, because now I can do it myself. So if you're ever thinking about painting your car, I highly recommend that you just do it. Just go for it. If I could do it, anyone else can do it. A little chip right there, but no worries, it's all good. But look at the finish on that. Orange peel, but definitely gonna cut and buff, so I couldn't be happier with it. From what it was to what it is now, it's just amazing. And I can't believe I did this myself. That's crazy. And let me tell you my little story. So, we are in this one car garage in an apartment complex where I live. There is literally this much space between the vehicle and the wall. This is one body, you know, barely one body. That side has a little bit more space, but look at this. Look at that. Hardly any space. I have one outlet in here, this guy, and everything connects to that. So big problem I had was I didn't have enough power going to my compressor, which by the way, I have an 8-gallon compressor. This is not the one I used, this is my older one. I actually bought a brand new one because I thought this one was bad, but it wasn't. The problem was with the amount of power that I was getting. So I ended up not needing it, but I just used a new one anyway. That's right, I shot this thing with an 8-gallon compressor, which is ridiculous. Would I ever do it again with an 8-gallon? Absolutely not. I only have the single light. I should have had 3 of them in here, and maybe even 2 on the walls, which would have been a lot better. And you know, if I did it with this, you can do it. Anyone could do this. Obviously she's not perfect because, like I said, it's my first time painting. And I was using like Harbor Freight guns, that's right. It's another thing, I was using $9 Harbor Freight guns that I just threw away when I was done. So I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am with the results that I got for such a cheap paint job. I did this all under 400 bucks. That was most of the money was just all paint. So the paint itself was $300. I bought the kit. It came with a clear coat for $95, and the paint itself was not too expensive. So $300 is what I paid for the paint, and I spent about another $100 or $200 buying all the supplies that I needed, like paper, tape, everything else. It's really cheap. Anyone can do this, and I really recommend. Like, look at the shine on that mirror. Obviously, it's not perfect because of my circumstances, but like I said, anyone can do this. So from here on out, basically, all I'm gonna do is cut and buff. I already started here, just kind of testing it out because since I don't have a booth, there's gonna be overspray that lands back on it. Obviously, you can hear it. It looks super glossy, but it's rough. That's all the overspray particles that landed on top of the fresh clear coat. And you can tell that because here it's rough, and then when you get to this part where, let me show you. So here, it's rough, right? It's very glossy, but there's a little bit of overspray that landed here. But as soon as you get to here, there's no more. It's super smooth. The reason is because it's not a surface where the overspray can land on. It's kind of divoted in. So the overspray was not able to land there, and it's like perfect clear coat right here. So basically what I have to do now is get it to smoothen out from that to that. And I'm basically gonna be sanding it down and then buffing it all out to get all the scratches out of it. Once it's done, it's gonna look amazing. So we'll leave that for a different video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're thinking about painting your car, 3 things: get a bigger space, try to eliminate overspray, mess with your gun settings when you're spraying your clear, make sure to reduce the clear, and make sure you have enough power. Try to get yourself at least a 30-gallon compressor, and more importantly, try not to use a cheap Harbor Freight gun when you're spraying the clear, because I think that's going to make a big difference. It just doesn't atomize it as well. For everything else, it's fine. Primer and base coat, recommend the Harbor Freight guns. They work. They really do. And if you're on a budget, do what I did. Get yourself an 8-gallon compressor. Get yourself some Harbor Freight guns. Buy yourself the $300 kit. You can get it cheaper online. I think there's like a kit for $150 with clear coat. I don't know how good that paint will be, but you could do it even cheaper than I did. So there's an even cheaper route, and you can go with Rust-Oleum, but you know, don't do that. But yeah, I'll leave you guys with this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment below and leave a like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.